All right, let's jump right in. Welcome to this explainer where we are mastering root cause analysis for ISO/ISC 42001-2023. If you're an auditor, a compliance manager, or honestly just someone fascinated by how organizations actually secure their AI and information systems, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're not just glancing at the surface of security incidents. We are grabbing our shovels and digging deep underground to uncover how lead auditors unearth the real reasons behind security breaches.
Have you ever wondered why supposedly fixed security breaches just keep happening? Imagine an organization's information security management system is a tree. If a breach occurs and you just pluck a withered brown leaf off a branch, does the tree get better? No way. The tree is still sick, and those same symptoms are going to return season after season. We have to stop and ask ourselves why these symptoms keep coming back, even after we swore we fixed them.
So, here is our game plan for today. We'll be looking at 1. Symptoms versus root causes. 2. The RCA Toolkit. 3. Fixing systemic issues. And finally, 4. Documenting your findings.
Starting off with Section 1, Symptoms versus Root Causes, and why we absolutely need to dig below the surface. Under ISO/IEC 42001-2023, a nonconformity is essentially just a failure to meet requirements, whether that's the standard itself, internal policies, or regulatory expectations. Basically, the system missed the mark. Maybe an employee used a weak password or a backup server failed. But here's the secret that separates a decent auditor from a phenomenal lead auditor. Those surface-level failures, they are almost always just symptoms of a much deeper organizational illness.
This comparison totally hits the nail on the head. Correcting a symptom is like patching a single server or telling one employee to use a stronger password. You just pulled a bad leaf. But addressing a root cause, that's realizing your IT department literally has no dedicated policy for system configurations and fixing that company-wide. You're changing the actual soil so the whole tree thrives. Corrective actions that don't address that root cause are honestly just temporary illusions of security.
All right, moving to Section 2, the RCA Toolkit. Let's grab our lead auditor shovels.
The standard gives us some seriously powerful investigative methods to dig out the truth. The 3 most vital tools in your kit are the 5 Whys, Fishbone Diagrams, and Pareto Analysis. Each one lets us break down massive, complex problems into highly structured, manageable pieces. Let's see how they actually work in practice.
Check out the rapid-fire cadence of the 5 Whys method. It's wonderfully simple but incredibly effective. You just keep asking why, iteratively. Why the defect? Machine malfunction. Why did it malfunction? No maintenance. Why no maintenance? Because there was no schedule. Why no schedule? The department is understaffed. Why are they understaffed? Because there's a lack of management investment. See that? We literally went from blaming a broken machine to uncovering a fundamental lack of management commitment, which is a massive systemic issue under ISO standards.
Now, if things are a bit more tangled with multiple factors, we bust out the Fishbone Diagram, or Ishikawa diagram. This lets us visually branch out our investigation into distinct categories. Is it people? Like a lack of training. Processes? Flawed workflows. We also look at materials, equipment, environment, and overarching management decisions. This completely prevents that awful tunnel vision where we just blame the tech and ignore the rest of the management system ecosystem.
And because we don't have infinite time and resources, we use Pareto analysis to prioritize. It's the classic 80-20 rule. 80% of your nonconformities are likely stemming from just 20% of the causes. By analyzing the data to find those critical few causes, we can focus our energy heavily on the areas that will yield the most massive improvements in the organization's security posture.
Which brings us right into Section 3, Fixing Systemic Issues. It is time to actually cure the disease.
Through all this analysis, here's something you'll discover time and time again. True root causes are rarely just technical glitches. An outdated piece of software isn't the root cause. The broken process that allowed it to get outdated is. We're talking massive, systemic failures here. Poor organizational training, zero management commitment, or a total lack of standardized policies. When we design corrective actions, they absolutely must target these high-level flaws.
To make sure the cure actually sticks, we follow a strict timeline that fits perfectly into the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. Day 1, identify the issue. Week 1, root cause analysis. Week 2, develop the corrective action plan. But look closely at the end of this timeline. Month 3, verification of effectiveness. You don't just apply a fix and walk away.
You literally have to come back months later to prove the cure worked and the disease hasn't returned.
And that brings us to a huge realization. As a lead auditor, your job isn't to just put out fires. It's to find the arsonist and rebuild an entirely fireproof system. Corrective actions must prevent recurrence. By addressing the systemic stuff, you are directly driving the continual improvement of the entire information security management system, which is literally the ultimate goal of the standard. Let's head into our final section, Section 4, documenting your findings, or as I like to think of it, resurfacing with proof.
Let's see how this all builds into a rock-solid report. Notice how everything visibly links together here? We start at the surface with the nonconformity, unauthorized data access. We trace it down to the root cause, an outdated security software policy. We detail the corrective action, an enterprise software upgrade, and finally, the verification, follow-up vulnerability testing. It tells a complete, fully traceable story.
A massive chunk of that documentation is the corrective action plan itself. And listen, this plan cannot have any ambiguity, none. It requires clear objectives, specific actions, allocated resources, and a verified testing method. But most importantly, crystal clear assigned responsibilities and strict timelines. If you don't assign a specific human being to fix the issue by a specific date, it is simply not going to happen in the real world.
Keep in mind, this documentation isn't just bureaucratic paperwork to check a box. It creates a vital historical record. It provides transparency and accountability, showing exactly how the organization handles its vulnerabilities. Plus, it sets the perfect stage for those mandatory follow-up audits. Without this trail of evidence, we literally cannot verify that the management system is actually improving over time.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to carry into your next audit or compliance review. Look at your own processes. Look at those nonconformities that just keep popping up on your desk and ask yourself honestly, are you just treating the symptom or are you doing the hard work of curing the disease? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into root cause analysis for ISO/ISC 42001-2023. Keep digging, keep asking why, and I'll see you in the next explainer.